our money was so tight. We were stretched so thin. He tapped into my 401k to pay for the conference.
I started out doing these vlogs for almost 2 years, every single week. And that lifestyle vlog turned into real estate.
He said, I really want to go out and start my own brokerage, but I can't do it without you.
We did 20 million in 1 month. It was wild. And it was the best thing ever.
The first question is, what do you do for leads? Do you pay for Zillow? Do you pay for leads? And I'm like, it's just not the highest and best use of our time and our money. It was a 90-day performance improvement plan.
So when she brought in the 90-day, it was like, hey, who is here for the long run? Or who's just in this from month to month? And so that opened up a lot of eyes into our brokerage, and it built us.
I think brokerages think that agents want ad dollars or an office paid for or all the smoke and mirrors, like all the extra stuff. What we've realized, a lot of agents come in for us is the coaching.
No longer is it just training. It's what do you bring into my business? How can I grow it? They want the camaraderie of winning together. And if you're losing, they want the support of how you can grow. What do you do every day to start your business? We know now, okay, well now we can give you an answer. We can give you a system, a process that'll compound to grow in your business.
You guys run a boutique but big brokerage, and I was curious, what do you guys see as the future of brokerages?
Oh, what a great question.
That's a great question to start off with.
I'll start. I think the future of brokerages is agents are really honing in the value for each brokerage. And no longer is it just training. It's what do you bring into my business? How can I grow it? And what makes it different from everybody else? To me, we're watching this podcast either on video or on Spotify, listen to it on Spotify or wherever it is. How can you grow my brand online? And I think the more brokers are tapped into that believe in that push that every day, I think agents are more attracted to that, and that's going to be the growth of future brokerages. Is not just training in classroom, learning the contract. That it comes and goes in trial and error in your deals. But brand, business, growing your actual business, that's something agents want to go to and help, and brokerages should help be able to do that.
Yeah, and I also feel that more often than so, real estate can be very lonely. You're on your own, you're an independent contractor, unless you join a team. But we've noticed that a lot of agents will reach out to us because they'll say, I'm really interested in the camaraderie that your brokerage offers. Like, yes, of course, we offer the training, the marketing, the videos, all of that. But more often than not, we're getting the common denominator of culture and camaraderie and having just that relationship and that friendship that comes with it. Even though everybody's an independent agent, we don't have any specific teams for people to feel like they get that. It's so, you're realizing it's so important to these people because it can be very isolating. So to be able to have a brokerage and a team that it either functions like a team, but you can bounce ideas off of each other and work together as one big unit.
When you're at a lower point in your business and you're just not getting deals or nothing's coming in and you're by yourself, it's so lonely. And so you need a group of people around you to support you and build you back up and give you ideas to grow your business. And then when you're winning, you want to celebrate with those winning around you. So they want both. They want the camaraderie of winning together. And if you're losing, they want the support of how you can grow now. And so I think that's also what we have at Evoke is, to me, a really solid group of agents that believe in each other, and then if you're down, they're going to pick you back up. And if you're winning, we're going to celebrate with you every single win.
Culture is a big thing. You guys you meet with a lot of agents. Mm-hmm. I'm curious, like when you meet with agents, what do they actually want from a brokerage versus like what do brokerages think that they want?
Ooh.
So I oversee a lot of the recruiting. David, a lot of times will be like, let me know if you like them. And I really respect his opinion. So I always try to do it together, or he and I will tag team on them. But I think brokerages think that agents want ad dollars or an office paid for or all the smoke and mirrors, like all the extra stuff, maybe the out-of-pocket expenses, which would be great to get them in the door. Hey, we'll cover your first 10 signs, which is great to an extent, but how is that going to actually function as helping them grow their business? What we've realized, a lot of agents come in for us is the coaching, the training, the leadership. We get so many agents that are like, I was at a team where my broker or my team lead was not in production. And that's important to them. We would have never known that. That doesn't register to us because David's only ever been in production and he's always ever been the highest producer. And we had an agent that was like, I want my broker to be the top producer. I want my broker to have luxury listings for me to tap into or for me to do an open house at. So it's really interesting hearing what these agents value and what's important to them. Also, I think outside brokers get really caught up in all the shiny glitz and glams of like all the parties we have and all the events that we have and all the extra things. But a lot of times the agents just want the support. They just want to know that they can come to the office, call the broker, he'll pick up his phone, he or she will pick up their phone in a timely manner. We've recruited agents from other bigger brokerages where they're like, it'll be 2 weeks before I hear back from my broker. And if we're calling the broker, it's because there's an important question. It's about a contract or about a client, something that is pretty time sensitive. So that's something that's we've realized agents value. And then on the flip side, we'll interview agents that'll say, okay, their first question is, what do you do for leads? How do I get leads? Do you pay for Zillow? Do you pay for leads? And I'm like, we're just not, if that's your main question, we're not going to be the brokerage for you because we've seen the low conversion and it might be different for other people. But for our side of it, it's just not the highest and best use of our time and our money. We rather you get warm, closest to the bullseye leads through your videos, through your content, through your sphere of people that are already following you. They like, know, and trust you. And now you're putting out valuable content. Now you're leading with value. Of course, they're going to slide into your DMs, or you can ask them for the business and they'll say, well, yeah, of course, you're a market expert, you're an area expert. And so it's been really interesting kind of taking the temperature on what agents value. And then that helps us realize, okay, maybe at some point we should offer some sort of like ad budget, or at some point we should throw in a few extra signs just as a bonus or some sort of recognition. So, yeah.
I think also too, like when I started out as an agent and I needed help, I had nobody to call. And so for them starting out or going through conversations, especially with commissions or what deal they have or whatever it is, they need somebody to call and just walk them through the convo. What can I say here? Give me some ideas. And then we're really good at that. So our agents, they know they can call us anytime. And to me, I think that's the biggest value is having somebody available that actually cares, because real estate can be very stale. Brokerages can be very stale. And if you go into it and you have a good vibe and you have people that care about you and want to grow your business, to me, that's a way bigger value than just signs and lockboxes.
Right.
Yeah. And I think the content, the production is like a big thing that you guys do and have it in-house. And there's other things you guys touch on, like the recruiting side,
right?
Like the dynamic between you two, and we can get into that a little bit later. But I was curious, what did you learn and what did you find bringing the production team in-house?
So I'll start on this one, because to me,
you're passionate.
My business grew on video, and I took a giant. So we both had jobs in the real estate industry starting out, and I was working with Luxury Home Magazine, and she was working in the title industry for 10 years. And then she allowed me to take a leap of faith and start my real estate career. And doing that, I had attended a conference of Gary Vee. As
2020 is like
Vision
2020.
Agent 2020.
Yeah.
I had showed up to that. Gary Vee was there. I think Ryan Serhant was there. Tom Ferry, a lot of big people in the real estate industry. And the main theme of the entire conference was video. This is 2019? 2018?
Yeah, and I feel like I need to add a little disclaimer just for some context. At this time, we were newlyweds. I don't know if we were newlyweds or about to get married.
Be engaged, yeah.
Our money was so tight. We were stretched so thin. He tapped into my 401k to pay for this ticket.
I asked first, though. I asked.
Because I was like, you know what? I believe in you. Like, if this is something that you want to do and you're passionate about it, you better go get your money's worth for it. And we had a friend that lived in Miami that was like, yeah, he can sleep on our couch. So that's
I was also like, you got a 401k?
Yeah. he was like, he can sleep on our couch. Yeah, exactly. And so he bare bones it, but I believed in him, and I was like, okay, if you're going to do this, do it, make it worth our money, and go. And I feel like that night or it was life changing. It
was. I came back and I told her, listen, I need to go real estate full time. Can you support me? And she's like, yeah, do it. So I went full time.
After our wedding, I said, after we get married, you can go full time.
I hired the videographer we still have to this day. And at the time, I couldn't afford to pay him. I paid him like in Whataburger gift cards. And I just said, hey, just follow me around. Follow me around the entire day. He's like, the entire day? I'm like, yeah, we need to get everything. And it's back when you think you need to get everything. You don't need to get everything. You're just going to get pieces of it. And so I started out doing these vlogs. I saw Gary Vee vlogs. Like, let me just show my life. And maybe it'll get some attention to where I get business. And I did it consistently for almost 2 years. Every single week almost. It was a lot of filming. We did micro clips, and that lifestyle vlog turned into real estate because eventually we started doing home tours when nobody in San Antonio was doing home tours through video. And I would make them really cool and like something different that nobody has seen. And so I turned into David the video guy. And it was I started out doing videos 2018, 2019, COVID hit. And now it turned from doing vlogs to doing weekly series about talking about real estate to interviewing business owners on Instagram Live, Facebook Live. And so whatever I can do to create engagement online and grow my personal brand, that's what I was doing. And so I took the nuggets from Gary Vee conference and I started video in San Antonio. I hired Eric, not full time, just paying him per gig. And then we decided in 2022 to start our own brokerage, our own firm. And at that point, we're like, you know what? We need this guy in full time. Our agents need to have access to his videographer so they can do exactly what I did. And so now our agents have that access to the videographer, two videographers, access to Lila, who's a great social media expert. And so for us, content was everything. And we invested heavily in this. When we brought up leads earlier, when agents ask about leads, my biggest lead is investing into content for them. Yeah. So it's actually growing their brand.
Growing the brand.
And if you ever leave us, you still got your brand. And so to me, I'm investing in you, not just, Zillow.com and trying to get leads out of it. It's so important to us.
Well, and those doing videos have a higher conversion because it's your video, it's your face, it's your content. It gives people a reason to engage, or it gives you a reason to engage and create the conversation versus just like, here's a cold lead for somebody that's interested in this house in your zip code. And so that's when we were actually at Sell It in New York, and I was on the tail end of my title career. I knew it was kind of coming to an end. I knew I'd kind of capped. And so, we had just found out we were pregnant with our second child, and David had just passed his broker's exam, and he said, I really want to go out and start my own brokerage, but I can't do it without you. And I said, okay, well, we're about to have another child. I'm about to give up like health insurance, benefits, a career, a salary, commission, all that. And he was like, I really think we can do it. And so we were at Sell It. And of course, Sirhan's really big on video and content, and they're so forward thinking compared to our market. And we said, okay, well, let's have Eric be like, what's going to separate us? What's going to be our selling point? And it was having an in-house videographer. Nobody's doing that. Again, going back to the recruiting meetings, we'll talk to agents. We had an agent one time that was like, so how much are the videos? And we're like, it's included. And they're like, really? You don't have to hit a certain threshold, or you don't have to do a certain amount of production before you get access to the videos? And we're like,
now you do.
No, but that's a genius idea, which we haven't implemented. But so many people outside are like, wow, they can't comprehend the fact that is included. And we're not... our comp structures are very generous still. Everybody wins. It's not, I get that there are some other more luxury brands that you get access to the luxury brand and all of the tools and resources in the name, but you're giving up a lot of the comp side of it and a lot of the money that you get to take home, which for a lot of people is so well worth it. We wanted to be somewhere in the middle. We wanted to still have an attractive comp structure, but still be able to offer all these things while still be able to be profitable and make money. And so we kind of needed to fill these buckets strategically. And obviously the first person was Eric, and then Eric got to be so busy. We're like, okay, we need to bring on a second person, but we were very particular with who we brought on because it's a style. It's a style that is people try to replicate, but there's no replicating Eric's exact style. And then also the style that we want to put out there. We're not going to put out these cheesy TikTok trend videos. We're not going to be dancing videos. We're not going to be doing, these wannabe viral videos that are just like rage bait or clickbait. Like that is not me. I am the biggest protector of our brand. And that's why I'm super exclusive with who we bring on. And then it takes it up a notch to like the videos that we put out. And so we interviewed a lot of people, and we found this incredible guy who got his background from UC Berkeley in video and film. And it's been really cool for all of our agents to really step out of their comfort zone and do these really unique videos. And I'm like, wow, I think
that's what it is too. I think a lot of agents come into it nervous to do video, nervous to be on camera. And when they see their broker doing it, and when they see their CEO doing it, and they see us doing it together, like, okay, if our leaders are doing that, I want to do it too. If it worked for them, it's gonna work for me. And I started out making my own videos. I bought a camera, learned Adobe Premiere Pro. I know exactly how to edit. So now me and Eric are in the same language, and we can speak videography, and I know what I want going into a video shoot. So when we have an agent coming in that's never been on camera before, I can coach them and say, hey, say this, do this effect. We can do this in the back in Adobe. And so it really helps having that background in video.
But I think also reassuring them that like, it might look like it comes easy to David,
No.
But I mean, if you were to watch my outtakes, there's like 47 of them, and then Eric has to like chop them all together. Like it's still not easy and comfortable. I hate it. I'm miserable. And that's why you don't see a lot of me, because there's also just not, I mean, a lot of my stuff is like Lila will film during meetings, and it's just like a lot of BTS, and that's more of like the angle I want to play. But I think when they know like, oh wait, y'all didn't all just do that on your first try. I'm like, no, of course. And then I think that's why it's so important for the consistency. We've had Eric. I mean, Eric filmed our wedding. So like Eric's been in our lives for a long time. And I think it's important to have consistency at the brokerage, because the agents are like, I am so comfortable with Eric. Eric knows my style. He knows my tone. He knows when I'm nervous. He knows to slow me down. And I think outside brokerages, when they're just like paying for some random one-off videographer every single time, you don't get to build that rapport and that relationship. And it shows on camera. And so that's where I think that like that definitely is another notch on our belt, is because it builds. I mean, Eric is part of our team and part of our family and our culture, and everybody feels like, okay, this is.
He's like, we should have Andrew or Eric.
Yeah,
Eric
he's like, actually, let's just cancel this and have Eric. But it's just because videography and content is part of our three pillars. Our three pillars are content, culture, and collaboration. So that is one huge pillar, and Eric is holding that flag.
Yeah.
And we'll get into like the culture and the collaboration part, but I'm curious, like, one, it's a big thing, like you guys are leading by example. That's huge, because that makes everyone feel more comfortable. As you said, it gives you the insight to be able to teach them as well. But I'm curious, there's a handful of team leaders that I know that have either hired a videographer, have a videographer, and it's one of the hardest roles to keep, because they want to leave. They want to freelance, start their own company. How do you keep a creative talent like that and keep them incentivized to like build with you?
To me, I think in the scenario we're in, I think Eric has seen us from the very beginning of our relationship, and so he's seen where we were at before and where we are now, and I think he truly believes in the growth of what we're building. I think he is around because he wants to be a part of it, and then when you believe something that deeply, you're not entertained by other people. It's to him, happiness of being who you're with and surrounded by those that are doing what we're doing. It's over everything else, and so I think he just truly believes in us.
And he's seen us from the beginning, so it's like that buy-in of him being like, wow, I'm really committed and bought into this growth. And you're right, like especially having that creative mindset. They're always looking for something else and something new and fresh and different. And we take that into consideration as well. And that's why we always give him the opportunity to either shoot outside projects if he wants to. It just can't interfere with our, real estate docket. So we always say like, look, go do an outside project, or we'll send him out to go film like a local business or something that's just different that kind of keeps it fresh. David will say, hey, do a video completely different how you normally would edit it. Do something just fresh and different. And then I think Eric, Eric's smart. He knows that it is hard for creatives to land full-time jobs or stable jobs, because it is so hard to get somebody, because a lot of brokerages aren't going to pay somebody to have them in-house. It is just contract or one-off or this or that or project basis, and so it is really hard to land kind of like an in-house gig. And so I think there's just also that air of like, hey, this is family. Like this is a rare opportunity. Eric, if you're listening, this is a rare opportunity.
And also like he started out with one camera and one little Rode mic, and now he's got a whole room of equipment. So at some point it's like, what do you want? And it just say yes. And so I think he loves us. We love him. And we believe in him.
We give him a lot of creative freedom. We're like, look, go film this how you want. Go do this. We'll partner him up with local businesses and be like, hey, here's something different. I started a women's group, so I'll have him come film some of our events. So it's completely different. It's, it's a different vibe, a different everything. And so I think being able to give him just kind of some creative freedom and liberty is really helpful for him to continue to scratch that side of the brain.
Yeah. It's the vision of everything you're building, the culture, why he stays, and then you're also giving him the freedom to be like, okay, I can exercise my creativity a little bit. And then you're also like, hey, like we'll buy you equipment, build the department.
He has a true say. Like honestly, we
really
come
does.
to him for a lot of business decisions that aren't even in the content world. It's just like, hey, what do you think about this direction? And we value what he says. And I think it's hard to find that anywhere else.
Yeah. So, you have like 3 now videographers in-house.
We have two. Yeah.
Two, yeah.
So,
And then Lila's our social media.
But she's actually really good at editing. She's got a hidden talent over
She
there.
really does.
Yeah.
You know what it is? It's those fresh out of college kids.
Yeah.
She's got just that eye, and I'm just like, that would take me 4 months to make that one cap cut. And she's like, I did this walking to my car in the parking lot. Like she's got an incredible eye. She's very talented.
It's the eye for like culture and what's going on.
Right.
The
Like
trends.
Gen Z.
Yeah.
And we've tried to play into some of the TikTok trends. I'm definitely like very particular about which ones, but we've decided like our TikTok will be more of like Evoke After Dark. And it's just kind of like the fun, cheesy stuff. And then on our main Instagram page, that's like more professional and kind of leans into more of just like the real estate side of it, the leadership, all of that. But the TikTok is just fun behind the scenes, like just lets you know that like, hey, we're not all, strict and square. Like we can have fun too and participate in some trends, but, and that's where Lila's really come in and be able to edit some of that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're just so good. I could have never done that.
So you have the PR background, you do a lot of recruiting. What did you both learn about like how to hire that second videographer to make sure it's going to be like almost like a mini Eric?
Well, I mean, obviously portfolio was first and foremost was portfolio. And then second was, like their style, being able to adapt to the style that we, a lot of times these are videographers that have done short films or anything. And then it's like, hey, can you go shoot a house? And being able to have that eye and know those certain dynamics. But, and then another thing too was just the opportunity. Was this like something that they wanted to do? Were they flexible? How do they interact with people? Are they comfortable to be able to, you're talking to an agent, you're making agents feel comfortable, you're giving them feedback and direction. And so that was important to us as well. And then just somebody that kind of meshes well within our vibe. That's why we're super particular, because you bring in, since we run still really lean, you bring in one person and it can kind of rattle and shake up the dynamic. And so
I think also too, like for me, when we were interviewing, I wanted somebody that wasn't doing real estate. I wanted somebody with a completely different eye.
Yeah, it's an outside.
Yes. Yeah. And then his first test was literally, okay, his background was like concerts and other things. And I'm like, okay, go shoot a house and just send it back to me. I want to see how you do it. And it was actually really good. I'm like, hey, you got the eye, you got the creativity, and it's different than what I see in our marketplace. And so when I was interviewing, to me, I don't want somebody at all in real estate. And that was, the best decision ever.
I kind of like creative talent that's outside the industry.
Yeah. Yes.
Because they have a different perspective than everyone inside.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll have him sometimes alternate and do some of my women's events too. And the way that he kind of incorporates, he does a lot of stuff on film, still film as well. So he'll incorporate photos and then do it in a video. And then so I really, and I'm like, have at it, go for it. Like as long as it just still sticks with like somewhat of our brand standard and our brand guidelines, other than that, go for it. And I'm like, wow, this is really different and really unique. And so we really appreciate somebody that just kind of brings the idea or the fresh eye or the fresh talent, but at the same time, still sticking to what we're tried and true, which is, just those brand guidelines.
Yeah, makes sense. And a lot of, for the teams that do have videographer, whether it's in-house or contracted, whatever, there's usually, as you guys mentioned, there's like limits of access depending on certain thresholds, or there's like they can only be used for listing videos, et cetera.
Right.
So what type of access do like agents get to like your videographers, and like what does the scope kind of look like?
Yeah.
Like I said, in recruiting meetings, the first thing people say is like, how much do I have to sell before I get access? Or do I have to hit a threshold? Or how much do I have to pay out of pocket? And, David and I have kind of crunched the numbers a million ways to make sure that everybody wins. At the end of the day, though, he still has to get paid whether, whatever they sell or not. And so, we've kind of toyed with the idea of like, okay, well, if they're a lower producing agent or if a newer agent, should we not do the videos? But then we think like, okay, well, now it's going opposite of what we're selling, which is the videos are your leads. So we say, you know what, if a brand new agent puts a video out there that says, hey, here I am, here's where I'm at, here's my specialty, here's, a beautiful house, or here's a market update, and then that generates conversation, well, then that's exactly what we promised. And so the access is the minute that you join Evoke, you get access. We'll sit there and game plan and storyboard your launch launch video. And whether you're coming from another brokerage, you're a newer agent, you come from some area of real estate, we always say, hey, let's storyboard your first launch video. And let's just introduce yourself to the marketplace with a video. And then from there, maybe do a series or do, a showcase.
Yeah, I think the scope too is also it has to have something to do with real estate. It has to go back somehow to real estate. Like
right.
You can't have him go out and stream you playing video games. It has to be somehow tied to your brand. And so I think for us, like a lot of times our agents come to us with ideas and okay, you have a great idea. How can we somehow make there a clear message on that to where you get business out of it somehow? Unless you're going to do it for 12 months straight, make it consistent, there has to be some kind of direction for your viewers to go towards. And so if we have really good direction on giving Eric and our agents that have these ideas, and I think that's also another value we have as well. But scope is somewhat going towards real estate and then time. Time for Eric, time for us, time for the agent. Is it worth the time making that video?
Right, the bandwidth too. Yeah. And I will say like a lot of, at least some of like our longer tenure agents, the agents that have been with us for a long time, been in the business a while, have really leaned into the videos that now they're their own little mini content creators. Like we have one agent that she's like, I always post a fun video that Eric will do, but it's always somewhat real estate related. Yeah. And then she's like, I'll post a family photo and then I'll do a real estate video. And like, that's her content planning. And she's like, it's just what's worked for me. And you could go to her feed and see that's exactly the method she follows. And she's like, I like all my family videos to be in the middle of the grid. I like my real estate fun videos to be on the left side, my actual real estate videos, maybe it's a listing or something on the right side. And it's like, wow, they become their own little micro content creators.
You see her feed, you see her consistency, and then you see her business year over year.
Yeah.
2 million, 5 million, 8 million. And it's pure consistency and having that actual content brand that she's building over time. And it pays off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Brand is like one of the best things that you can build for your business.
Absolutely.
And
it's also the scariest thing.
Yeah.
Like it's the scariest thing because you can get in your own head and not do anything at all. So I think it takes people like us and people that in our brokers that have that culture and have that vibe to kind of push you past that wall to actually build your brand, do something. Because agents just sit there and they're like, what do I do? What do I do? And we need people like her and myself to push them to do something like that.
How do you guys get through that barrier with new agents?
So, well, first define a new agent because we're really particular on bringing
agents on the team.
Okay, new to Evoke.
New to Evoke.
I mean, I think it's just like really getting them fully acclimated, like encouraging them. So every Tuesday we have this thing called Power Hour. Nice. And so it's on the books. Everybody knows 10 o'clock, we're doing Power Hour and you can come and go as you please. It's not mandatory, but it's highly encouraged because this is where we get a chance to just talk about what clients you have, what buyers you have, what sellers you have, clients coming up, and we just kind of like hash it out. What would you do in this situation? Guys, I'm stuck on this part of the contract, or how would you handle this objection? And so I think number one is just encouraging them to just participate, even if they don't have any business under their belt at that moment, just come and just get to know people. We had one agent that her very first day with us was Power Hour on a Tuesday. And one of our other agents is really big on doing cold calls, and he loves calling expireds and FSBOs. And it was Spanish speaking, and our agent is Spanish speaking. And so she jumped on the phone. They got the client. They went on the listing together, and they co-listed it and sold it in like less than a week. That's awesome. So it's like just being there and being involved and being present is huge. And that's what I encourage them. I'm like, look, we created an office that's a collaborative workspace. We want everybody to come in, set up shop, work for a few hours, take your lunch from the office, whatever it is. So we really just try to like trial by fire, like just jump in, try it all, co-list with somebody. Go shadow. I always encourage all of our agents, like shadow each other, ask to go on a listing appointment, ask to go on a buyer's appointment.
Hey, can I listen to this phone call? So the agent that cold calls a lot, he started off, he got his license when he was 18. He DM'd me on Instagram, said, hey, can I come work for you?
For a year.
For a year. And I said, yeah, I'm not paying you though. And so he would literally, this is back during the COVID frenzy. And so he would sit in my car, I'd have 15 showings a day, and he would just listen to conversations of clients and agents on the phone. And he learned so much just listening. And so to him, he's heard all the objections, all the scenarios, what I would say back, and how to show a house. That, when you're walking through a house, how close should I stand to the client? How close should I stand to the front door? If this room's small, should I be in the room with them?
Right.
It's a true strategy and method behind it, and he learned that just by being there. And so our agents that are just starting out in the company, just being in the room and listening to everybody talk, they'll get the motivation to grow their own business. And so, it's important.
And then on top of that, like kick it up a notch. Pretty often, maybe 1 or 2 times a year, I'll do a book club, and it's anywhere from like 3 6 weeks, 12 weeks. We did Raving Fans. We did Atomic Habits. I just got back from Ninja Selling installation in Fort Collins with the one and only Larry Kindle. And so after that, I was like, we can never go back to being the same old brokerage we were. Like, we are now officially a Ninja Selling brokerage. And so the first thing I hand them is like a copy of Ninja Selling. And I said, don't read this book cover to cover. Pick it up and have it on your nightstand and pick it up every day like a devotional. Read a chapter, read a few pages. This is going to be like your real estate manual. And then couple it up with the Ninja Selling podcast. They're like micro podcasts, less than 30 minutes, and they're just really good topics and techniques. And so all those little things that we do, we also are really big on doing like recognizing top producers for each quarter. We'll do Breakfast of Champions. We do Evoke Elite, which is like our top producers. Once a month, we do a family lunch or a family dinner. So there's tons of opportunity, aside from just having easy access to David and I. For the most part, we have an open door policy. And every 2 weeks, there's a handful of agents that are like, can I just have a standing 30-minute phone call or 30-minute meeting with you every 2 weeks just to get me motivated or just kind of talk through some of the things I'm going through. And so I do that. I do 90-day check-ins. I put people on 90-day pips. So there's just so many opportunities for you to succeed. But what David and I are challenged with is them taking advantage of it. Yeah. We're going to give you everything that you possibly could need, the manual to success, but like you have to actually participate in it. And I always tell the agents, I cannot want it more for you than you want it yourself.
Yeah. Which is why we're very particular on when you mention new agents. Okay, well, if they're a new agent joining Evoke, it's pretty rare. It's because we see something in them that we saw in ourselves. If they're a new agent coming in that we're like, okay, they really don't have too much drive or their sales aren't there, most of the time we'll just have them, encourage them to go to another brokerage. But for us, I think, new agents coming in, they're getting a lot just by being in the same room. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was funny when you said, what'd you say? It was like, can't force them, but highly encourage them. It's the independent contractor saying.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like you can't force them to be there, but
legally I cannot require you to be here, but I highly encourage it. Yeah. I mean, it's true though, but at the end of the day though, there is some rare situation and rare cases where there's an agent that can just never show up to the office for a whole quarter and still kills it. And those are rare breeds, and maybe that just happened that quarter. Lightning doesn't strike the same place twice. And it is what it is, but a lot of times, you can't expect to be fully ingratiated in this business and learn all of the behind the scenes and learn all about what we have to offer if you're just not present. Yeah. And a lot of times they do come for the culture and the camaraderie. Well, it takes being there and being involved and being present to get a taste of the culture and the camaraderie and all of that. So, everything is high. There are times where I'm like, this one is highly encouraged, borderline mandatory. Yeah. A lot of agents know. And if it is something that's extremely serious, which is very rare, we'll just do a Zoom. So there's no excuses of I have kids at home or I have to be at a doctor's appointment. It's like, okay, just plug an AirPod
they know
in.
well in advance.
They know well in advance to plan and prepare for it. But, at the end of the day though, it's realtors. Yeah. We could plan something until we're blue in the face and they could commit to it. And then that morning I have to show a house. I have a walkthrough and I'm like.
I think most of our agents have kids. And so it's a lot of time it's a kid objection or daycare or something. And so we're understanding obviously, but if we give them enough notice and the message is that important, we're going to expect them to be there.
Well, and I think we're missing a major key. A majority of our brokerage is all women. And so majority of our brokerage is women, which means that they naturally are the ones that are volunteering at the schools, doing the field trips, picking up sick kids, keeping home sick kids. And so we always, especially in the summer, Lila and I made a big snack basket for the kids. We were like, look, if you need to bring your kids to a meeting or to the office for a few hours, we have plenty of TVs, we have plenty of private rooms.
I brought a putting green.
We've got snacks. We encourage them. We understand that that. I mean, I'm a mom as well. We're parents. We have a nanny at home with our kids right now because their school's closed. We get it. We understand that. But, it is also, like David said, if it is something really important, it's always pre-planned well in advance just to be able to make arrangements. So it is just kind of a balancing act.
The structure. And if you're an agent coming in that's either failing in their business or they're a new agent and you need structure and a system in your company or business, that's what we provide. If you're not going to be there for it, then who gets blamed for it? We do at the end of it. And so we want them to actually be there, and that's important for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and going into that, like one of the biggest things with really any brokerage is adoption of tech, adoption of like the culture. So adoption of like everything that you guys have, the culture, the content. Do you think it lies more on the recruiting side or on the accountability side? Where do you think that adoption comes into play?
I think it's both. Like I can argue both sides. I mean, recruiting, you have to have somebody that wants it. There's been so many times where David and I have sat across people that are just like, no, I don't want to be on video. No, I don't want to do this. And I'm like, why are you here? Like, or they're like, do I ever have to come to the office? Because I'm not an office person. I don't want to be on camera. I don't really even have a big social media presence. I'm too good for accountability. I'm past accountability. I don't need coaching. And I'm like, do you realize where you, like, with the brokerage you came to? And a lot of them, I think it is because of the name. I would like to think it's because of the name. They think maybe we give out leads. David's really big on luxury. And so a lot of people, you try to, get to luxury by way of him. And so there are a lot of times where we look at each other and we're like, do you realize that this is a meeting for Evoke? And so I do think that is on the recruiting side. Like now, mind you, on the flip side, if an agent comes in saying like, I see your videos, I've been trying to break into video. I'm starting to finally turn a corner on luxury. And I feel like this is the brokerage I need to associate myself with, or your name has come up multiple times, or I really want coaching. I want accountability. I want camaraderie. Then they've already adopted it in their heads before even coming. So that's easy. Then on the flip side, some of the agents that either maybe they were grandfathered in from like the beginning stages where we didn't have all these in place, or they're agents that have just kind of gotten into a rhythm that might not include video or might not include accountability. It is hard because when I got back from Ninja, I put everybody on 90-day accountability. And it was a tough pill to swallow for a lot of agents. Some of them were like, whoa, where did this come from? Some of them were like, I don't have time for this. And then the other half of them were like, I have been begging for this. Like, I want accountability. I want the systems. I want somebody to ask me. And I'm not calling everybody at 5:00 in the morning being like, are you up? Drop and give me 50. Like, that's not the kind of accountability. It's just like being intentional and tracking what you're doing. If anybody's read Ninja Selling, they'll know it's just being intentional, practicing gratitude, and being, and tracking all of your progress. And so it really kind of opened our eyes to the temperature of the brokerage at that time, which ended up being the biggest blessing in disguise, because it kind of just gave us a feel for where everybody was at and what everybody wanted. And so I think it's both. Like I said, I could argue both sides. I think a lot of it is the recruiting. People already come into it, adopted in their head, and just hoping that we'll accept them. And then there's the other half of it of the people that are already at the brokerage that were like, okay, you haven't done a video in a while. Why have you not been on camera? You haven't had a closing in a while. What are we doing? And then that's when we sit down and we say, what do you have in the pipeline? What is a holdup? What are you struggling with? Is there a reason why you haven't hit certain goals or metrics? And then that's when David and I in the coaching and the leadership comes in.
Yeah, I think for her, it was, what's the end goal in your real estate career? And how can we create consistency and actually build a business out of it? How can you do things every day intentionally to where you can wake up when leads are just coming to you because you built your business that way? So when she brought in the 90-day, it was like, hey, who is here for the long run? Or who's just in this from month to month? And so that opened up a lot of eyes into our brokerage, and it built us from like, I think we did, was it 20 million in 1 month? It was wild. And it was the best thing ever was her bringing that Ninja Selling to the Evoke.
So I used to think growing on YouTube was hard until I learned the game of YouTube. Now we manage over 30 of the top real estate channels from 0 to 50,000 subscribers, and they each generate over $250,000 in extra GCI every single year. And here's the one thing that I learned. YouTube is not a video quality game, it's a packaging game, meaning it's all about the topics and how you package them. That's why we send the top 10 highest performing outlier videos every single week in our newsletter. We track over 150 of the top real estate channels across the country and way more outside the industry to give you the 10 highest performing outlier videos every single week to inspire your next video. So if you want 10 free ideas every single week sent to your inbox, click the link in the description below and join the Breaking and Building Leaders newsletter and join over 7,000 agents who get the 10 best outlier videos sent directly to their inbox every single week to inspire their next video. Join the newsletter today. It's completely for free.
So for someone who doesn't know what that 90-day looks like, what does it specifically look like?
So this is going to be a short ad for Ninja Selling, brought to you by. So it was a 90-day performance improvement plan, right? And so I wanted everybody to just implement the ninja selling techniques, which I'll explain, for the next 90 days. And if at some point we didn't see any sort of growth, we needed to look back at either, number one, were you doing it consistently, and were you doing it at the highest level, or was there something that maybe just wasn't sticking? Was there something that you're doing? Maybe they're doing really bad listing appointments, or they're just like really bad on the phone. And what is it that we can fix? So for anybody that's not familiar with ninja selling, is in the 90-day, which was encouraged by Ninja, they were like, go back if you're a team leader, go back to your brokerage and put everybody on a 90-day Ninja 9, which are the 9 things that you do. There's a few of them that are daily, and then a few of them that are weekly. And it's super easy stuff, like wake up and show gratitude, write down what you're grateful for, wake up and write down your affirmation, read something read some sort of positive reading, update your warm list, update your hot list, like
thank you notes,
writing thank you notes. Like, it's stuff that you should already be doing as a realtor. Like I said, it's not wake up at 5 a.m., do a cold plunge, do 100 push-ups. Like, I'm not asking anybody to do anything they're not already doing. You should be waking up and practicing gratitude and writing what your affirmations are and manifesting and reading some sort of positive reading and updating your database. Like, those are all things you should be doing, making your client service calls, but doing them at a level of which you're intentional about it, and then you're tracking it. Because Ninja says that like all of this week's activities should be breeding next week's activities and next week's business. And so you should be updating your database. You should be going through your database and saying, who can I contract today? Who can I contract by the end of the month? Hey, I just saw that a listing just popped up for somebody that's on my warm list. So maybe they're like 90 days out or maybe 120 days out, but I think this is their dream home because it touches all their points. So having those conversations in your head and being a matchmaker, which as a realtor should be what you are, should be your identity. That's all it was just asking. And I said, look, I get it. Like, it's a big pill to swallow to do those 9 things on a daily, weekly basis. But if at minimum, wake up and write down 3 things you're grateful for. Write down your one-line affirmation that you can put into ChatGPT. Ask ChatGPT to create you a 1-line affirmation based off of X, Y, and Z, values, morals, goals. That's it. Just do that for a month and then watch your mindset change. Then add on 1 more the next month. It's kind of like Atomic Habits. So it's like all these play a role into each other, and then having like the really good quality forward conversations. Okay, well, that goes back into raving fans. If you're having a good conversation, you're listening for pain and pleasure, you're listening for life changes. Well, that's how you create a raving fan. So it's like all these things are a really delicate puzzle that they all play together. But at the end of the day, though, I can't want it more for you than you want it yourself. And that's where it came down to with the agents of like, some of them were just these swing agents. They had really high highs, and then they rode that wave, and then they're looking at us being like, I have nothing in the pipeline, and that's your fault. And then when they have high highs, it's, I'm too good for all of this. So it's like, we did not want to have those reactive agents. We wanted to have proactive agents. And that's part of Ninja selling as well. And so that's just, shortened version of Ninja. But I'm a firm believer of it, and I could talk about it forever.
It's changed my business. It's changed our business. It changed the way we recruit. At the first meeting for an agent, it's like, okay, what do you do every day to start your business? And they don't have an answer. We know now, okay, well, now we can give you an answer. We can give you a system, a process that'll compound to grow in your business. And so it's changed a lot for our company.
Well, and it's also setting the stage of like you said, like, what do you do to work on your business? It's like, and Ninja's very big on like time blocking, working in your business and working on your business. And I think Alex Hormozy just posted like in the morning, anytime between in the morning until noon, you're the CEO. Yeah. And then after noon to after, you're the employee. Like, you're working in and on your business. And so just being able, instead of our questions used to be like, where do you lead generate? And what brokerage did you come from? And why did you get into real estate? It's like, no, we're asking now more intentional questions about how do you start your day? Here's how you're going to start your day. How do you follow up with clients? How often do you follow up? What does your database look like?
It'll tell you a lot about an agent, how they work their day.
Right.
If I can see your schedule, I'll know if you're going to be a great agent or not. If you have nothing on the calendar, you're just getting lucky, you're not going to last long, and we're going to get blamed for it later on. So
right. Just being intentional is really what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's a big thing for any sales business is like, there's the fat cat syndrome of like inconsistency. So you guys help plant that consistency in their business.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's why they're able to see more success from it.
Right.
I think for
if
us,
they take advantage of it.
At the number, the agent count we're at the level and the camaraderie and the culture we're at, it's a lot more meaningful for agents to come into that kind of setting than it is to go into a brokerage where you have thousands of agents and now you're trying to find your place in that brokerage and still have the same outcome. It's tougher. And so for us, we create that tight group that we can grow a lot together.
Nice. And I want to get back into the content in a second, but I was curious really quick. There's a thing in tech where it's like you have 3 to 5, maybe 7 interviews, and there's usually kind of like 2 to 3 culture interviews.
Right.
Do you guys do anything to make sure that they pass the culture tests for the team?
I feel like on the recruiting side, it's so hard. David kind of is like my HR. He's like, Alanna, they're 1099. We cannot ask those. Like, we can't. So it is hard because as much as I would love to be able to have them go through a series of interviews, at the end of the day, though, they're still an independent contractor. Yeah. And I can't have, these crazy high expectations of uniform and dress and all these things because it is what it is. But, I think we know David and I can decipher within 5 minutes. Like, he and I just look at each other. He and I can tell by the questions we start asking or we stop asking based off of the interview. Or there are times where like we'll text each other in the interview and he's like, let's give it a shot. And I'm like, I'm out. I'm done. Like, I just, there's also a big, huge factor of a women's intuition. And you listen to some of the top leaders and podcasts, and they all say that like there's something super powerful about just like the female intuition. And I just get a vibe from people. And so as much as I wish that we could have a series of interviews and then have our lender partner interview them and do all these things, if it really kind of also depends on their production. Is it a big team? Are they a big producer? Have they been in the business a really long time? So there's maybe like an ego involved.
I think on a local level, it's reputation is
Sure.
a big one.
Yeah.
And then if they're a newer agent that we haven't heard of, then usually it's a referral from one of our own agents, or they reach out to us because somebody told them something. It's somebody in the industry. So I think a lot of times locally, we kind of know who it is coming in, and we can see the production and kind of know going into it, okay, do we need to give them some time to kind of hear them out for a while before we actually make a decision, or just based on the referral we got, who they're referred them to us, and they could be a great fit.
And there's been times where David and I will begrudgingly take a meeting and we're like, oh, here we go. And we end up loving. We're like, wow, they really knocked it out of the park. Now we want them, and like we're trying to convince them. And so it really, that's why you and I were talking about it earlier. Like, it's so important to have face-to-face because you can just get the body language, the dynamic, the feel for it. And so we really encourage people to come in. And we know that like, time kills all. So like whenever we strike when the iron's hot, if the relationship is new or the referral is new, we're like, all right, let's try to get them in the office same day or next day, because we want to kind of just capitalize on that momentum. And so, but yeah, I mean, David and I we've done so many of them now, and we kind of have a feel for, and we tell them like, well, what's important to you, or we ask them what's important to you. And then if they tell us culture and camaraderie, we're like, okay. Or if we hear some backstory about where they previously came from and they're like, I butt heads with this person or there, so that we just really kind of get a feel based off of the questions we ask, because that's just how we get to know them, because all it takes is one bad apple. And because we run super lean and super exclusive, our team is really strong for it to not rattle, but I don't ever want to take the risk.
San Antonio industry is very small. Like, everybody knows everybody, and she's been in Tahoe 10 years. I was in the real estate industry for about 10 years or so. So we know a lot of the same people. And if there's new agents that come on board that make a big splash, and like, hey, they could be a really good fit, then we got to go through that long time series of interviews. But if there's an agent that's been around for 5-10 years and we know them really well and the reputation really is good, so yeah. Yeah,
and also it depends on the brokerage they came from.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, if they came from a profit sharing brokerage or a downline brokerage, it's like, okay, is that going to be one of their main priorities? Is that going to be one of the things that's important to them? Because we don't offer that. Or if they came from a brokerage that had a super fancy office and all this technology, and they're like, oh, well, I love a big conference training room and all these things. It's like, okay, well, we have a conference room, and so it's like we have to also, based off of where they came from, transaction fee brokerages. Those are sometimes the hardest recruits and the easiest recruits. The easiest because they'll say, oh, well, I was getting what I paid for, which was nothing. Yeah. But then the hardest side of it is like, I'm used to paying $235 a transaction, and now I have to swap what my comp plan is. And it's hard for them to visualize, well, I'm getting all this in turn.
And I can make a lot more. And so
Right. So it's like, just based off of where they came from is always a conversation as well. And what's important to them, what's their long-term, like David said, like start with the end in mind, like what's your long-term goal? Also, we don't take part-time agents. And part-time is just kind of like this word that everybody's like, well, I consider myself part-time because I only do $5 million a year. And it's like, no, that's full-time status. Like, it's enough to, what I'm saying is part-time, meaning you don't have an 8 to 5 job. I get if you're a stay-at-home mom and you do real estate, but you're doing 5 million. Love that for you. You have cracked the code, or if you're doing 6, 7, 8 million. We have one agent that does almost 10 million a year, and she's like, I don't do open houses. Love that for you. Like, if she's like, because my kids, sports schedule. So, part-time meaning you don't have an 8 to 5 but in chair job that keeps you from attending Power Hour, coming to our family lunches, attending our events. I mean, we had some agents, obviously they're no longer with us, that like a year would go by and we never saw them once. Zero participation in the group chat, zero, collaboration, meaning like, hey, can somebody go show a house for me? Can somebody do an open house for me? Zero. So we're just like, number one, like, why are you here? So, that I think also plays into it as well, is just their overall status is like, hey, this is your full-time job. You will commit to this. If you're doing it at 110% and you only did $3 million for the year, if that's your 110% and you're okay with that income goal, great. Yeah. I'm happy for you.
What happens when you get one person that's like, I don't care that much, and you're surrounded by like 5 or 6 people that really do care? They're eventually going to bring everybody down. I mean, you can't have that one person.
Complacency is just as bad as complacency is also a bad apple. Like that's a disease just as much. People not being involved, because then people start getting away with like, well, so-and-so didn't go to the last meeting. Well, so-and-so hasn't been active. So I think I can go under the radar too. And then it just
changes everything.
Changes everything. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the huge thing. I want to talk about that, but really quick, I don't know if it seems like you follow like Layla Hermosi. She says everyone focuses on client acquisition, not as much people focus on talent acquisition.
Yeah.
And being in the brokerage business, that is your main acquisition, is talent.
Yeah.
And thinking of it like a listing presentation, do you guys have like a specific question or two where you kind of like suss out the like bad apples, the good apples? Like I know there's some questions that I ask that's like their response can kind of be like, oh, yeah, I know it's good or bad.
I mean, I would say like if they ask us about what do we do for leads, like if they're asking us about leads, I'm like, all right, we're having 2 different conversations, and I get it. Like some of them, it's just an innocent conversation. It's just a question as a check. But when they lead with that, and they're like, okay, well, at my previous brokerage, I got Op City leads, or I got Zillow leads, or I got this.
Immediate, like,
can you match it? Can you provide that? What do y'all do for leads? And it's like, so it kind of just depends on how they ask it. It's one thing if they're just checking a box, being like, do y'all give leads? Yes or no? No. It's okay, fine. Maybe they were just wanting to know. They're just curious. They're doing their due diligence. It's others when like, well, my former brokerage or my former team lead gave us all these leads. What do you do? Like it's almost like a matching thing.
Or when they lead with what's the split or what's the comp plan. Because now now we're not actually focused on what we're going to bring for value for you to grow your business. It doesn't matter. You can have the world's worst split and still make a lot more money than everybody else because you're growing your business that much. Yeah. So when they lead with that or lead with what's your leads, that's usually a red flag. Or when we ask them, what do you do to start your business each day? And they don't have an answer. Then it's like, okay, now we know you're going from not having a system at all to trying to get into something. So yeah, that's a big.
And I think just asking them, like, I mean, obviously everybody's different. How everybody comes to us is different. Sometimes it's us reaching out to them. So our questions are going to be different because we're trying to sell them. A lot of times people come to us. So we're like, all right, we'll hear you out. We'll listen. Maybe the numbers aren't there, but the opportunity or the potential is there. We can help you grow into a bigger producer. The willingness has to be there. So every person that we interview is very different based off of just how they came to us or how we reached out to them or what the opportunity is there. You know, we interviewed a big team and they're like, we've already hit our comp, and we're like, okay, well, financially, we can't compete with that. I can't be like, sure, I'll match it. It's like, well, no, you're a big team. Like, so it's just kind of a give and take on that conversation of priorities. But, a lot of times it's just asking like, what does your usual day look like? One agent was like, I usually never leave my house. And I'm like, okay. So it's just, there's really not one, but it's just kind of how the flow of the conversation of like, how do they see, where do they see themselves in 5 years? And they're like, hopefully not working much.
I will say the ongoing theme after, recruiting for 4 or 5 years, it's most of the time if an agent's searching for another brokerage, it's because they feel lonely. They don't feel like they're a part of something. And I think that's almost every single recruit we've had is they're fishing for something to be a part of, and they see growth. They see a brand that's growing. They want to be a part of it, and because right now where they're at, they just don't get that. And so it's an interesting thing because agent life can be lonely unless you're a part of that.
And we always ask them, we're like, what's important to you when coming to a brokerage, when moving brokerages? Like you're going to uproot your current familiarity and start all over. Obviously, this is a big deal. What's important to you? And so we'll kind of lean and go in that direction. If they're like, it is camaraderie, it's leadership, it's broker support, it's feeling like I belong, it's feeling like I have a purpose, it's having access to luxury, whatever it is, we'll kind of just lean with that and encourage that or help them talk through that. And by no means are David and I going to sit there and be like, yeah, we offer it all. There's times where I'm just like, unfortunately, that's not the direction we're going. Or unfortunately, that's not who we are. That's not part of our culture. That's something that we don't prioritize, little things like that. And so we'll never oversell. I'm never going to overpromise because then it does come back. I mean, it comes back on us for everything. So I'm not going to add one more thing for them to be like, hey, you said that y'all do this. You sold me on this and you haven't lived up to it, which is why I take the leadership and the coaching so personally. To a default, because I'm like, how come nobody's reached out to me for coaching yet? And then I don't want them to be like, hey, I never heard from you. And it's like, no, it's an open door policy. I'm not going to shove it down your throat, but I want you to know I am here if you want it, if you want the accountability, if you want to have the weekly check-ins or the bi-weekly check-ins. And so I take it really personally because that is so much of our brand.
Yeah. And the culture is like a big thing with you all.
Yeah.
How do you debate between you guys are big family people, but then I don't know if you've read the book about like Netflix having like a sports culture. How do you balance both of those?
So it goes both ways. So this is great that we're obviously Mary Brand coming together is because she is very big into like balance and making sure our agents all feel a part of like I'm very competitive, and so I play sports my entire life, and so to me, I wake up and let's go. It's a kill or key. Does it go with kill or
Be eaten?
There you go, that one.
Kill or be killed.
So for me and like Leroy, one of our agents, another male, like we're very competitive. We had this banter of like, how many leads did you get today? Did you get a listing appointment? Did you get a deal? Blah blah. And so I go into the office like with that mindset, and it's often for her. It's like, hey, not everybody's like that. We need to be balanced and then actually.
Well, because he forgets we're all women.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I don't think we need to do an award ceremony. And I'm like, these are women that love maybe words of affirmation. I mean, we do the love language test for everybody. We do the DISC profile so we can better serve them and communicate with them in whatever their language is or whatever they feel their personality style. And I'm like, you forget that women, a lot of them, words of affirmation is their love language. And so we need to give the recognition. They like to post their award so their clients see that they're successful and that there's somebody that their client would want to work with. This is their opportunity to thank clients. And then he'll be like, all right, bye, hang up. And I'm like, David, you can't just hang up on people. Like, he's like, well, I'm done. The conversation was over. And I'm like, these are women. You have to be like,
it's a good balance we have for that.
You have to ask them, how was their weekend? Yeah. Are you good? How's everything? How are the kids? How's the husband? Like, you can't just always be so.
He's like, how many appointments do you do?
Yeah.
How many calls do you make? He's like, great, bye. And you're like, no, like, how's the weekend? How's the family?
Some report. And don't get me wrong, like I can be that way too. Like there's been times where people are like, Alanna, sometimes you can be just all business. And that's where, and then David's the one that's like has a putting green in the middle of the office. And I'm like, close the door. We're doing a 90-day check-in. So we are a very good yin and yang and balancing act.
And we can also sense that too. Like we know in the moment.
When one of us needs to soften the other, like David sometimes is like, damn, you are going in on that person. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm all business. And he's like, yeah, but Alanna, there's been times where he puts me in my place and he's like, you can't just like go in on them. Like, you have to remember they're independent contractors. They're not mandatory employees. We can't require that. So it is good. And then there's times where I'm like, soften it. Don't hang up as soon as the conversation's over. Don't be like, bye. Like, and so it's a good, and then I'm like, we need to do a family dinner. He's like, why? And I'm like, it's called camaraderie. It's called building culture. Like, so it is a lot of that and the awards and decorating the office. Like David would have pop-up card tables all over the office if it was up to him. He'd be like, we don't need decorations. And I'm like, but the girls, the women, the agents like to come to a place that feels cool and edgy and vibey and New York, LA. Like, and obviously we're getting there. That comes with time and growth and money and all these things. But I wanted it to be an attractive place for them. He would sit on the floor with his laptop if that's all that we had. He would go there every day. That's not me. I'm like, I need to decorate my office. I need to have a lamp. I need to have the lighting. I need to have ambiance. Like that's how my brain works. And I think that's how a lot of our other agents, because that is the number one thing we get is like, your office is so cool. Who decorated it? It's so vibe. It's so collaborative. And granted, we aren't some big, huge brokerage with this big budget that's able to bring in these cool interior designers and cool technology, but We've made it the best that we can, and we've already outgrown it. This is our second office that we've outgrown practically before we even move in. And so, but it's just cool. And so that is where it is like yin and yang. And I think so more often than not, so many of outside girlfriends are like, how do you work with your husband? I would kill my husband. And I think it's a few things. Like, number one, we stay in our lanes. He is broker, he is operations, he is finances, he is taxes. Like, he is everybody. Like, he is that. I am everything else: marketing, culture, recruiting, PR, leadership, coaching, you name it. I am everything else. And the agents know that too. And they really are good about calling him for brokerage stuff, calling me for marketing ideas, client ideas. I want to pick your brain. I'm in a rut. I have this thing, whatever it is. I have this person I want to recruit. So I think that's number one. Number two is we started it together. This isn't me encroaching in his business that he's already has all of his people in place. He has all of his things in place. And then I'm trying to find my way and fill in the gaps. Since we started it together and we built it together, I think that's why we don't step on toes. And then of course we tag team on everything. Like, we run everything by each other, but there's times where I'm like, okay, sounds good, looks good to me. Like, it's just not my scope. It's just not, my brain doesn't compute. And so it's been we're a really good yin and yang.
Yeah, I think it comes down to like also respect. Like, I respect what she brings to the table and what I bring to the table. And I think it takes a little bit of humility as an agent. A lot of agents have really big egos. So as a guy too. So like, going into this business, like, I know and I knew that I needed somebody like her. It's funny. My best man gave a speech at her wedding saying this. I needed somebody like her to bring out what I have in me, because she does that every single day. And so, she does the best for her agents too. And so I think that having that humility and that ego check to say that in order to grow my business to what it can be, I need somebody like this. And so, yeah, we take that same direction every day.
Can you maybe talk about the moment where you like called her and saying you wouldn't start the brokerage without her?
Oh, yeah, I can. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it goes back to, I guess, before Sirhan, when we were in New York. I
think you and I both were in like this. We were at this fork in the road in both of our careers. He knew he had kind of like maxed out at the level he was at. He was doing part-time real estate while also working at the magazine. And then I had kind of like I had hit my ceiling in title. I was at a company where the leadership was awful and it was just getting really toxic. And we knew we wanted to have another baby, and we knew that we were at this crux. And
we both had a good influence in the marketplace at the time. And
right. Yeah. And he was just like, I'm going to go off on my own. And I honestly, I don't even know if like it was a moment where we sat down. It just kind of happened. Like, I just feel like I woke up one day and the next thing you know, we were like filing an LLC. So he just woke up and he was like, well, I'm going to do this 110% full time. Because after we had gotten married, I told him he can do real estate. And then you were like, all right, I'm doing this full time, but now I'm ready to kick it up a notch. And then he started studying for his broker's exam. So he started studying for his broker's exam, passed it, and he's like, what am I going to do now? Like, I can't just be a broker you could be a broker for yourself, but he's like, where's the fun in that? Like, I want to grow something meaningful. And so he was like,
I think kids have a lot to do with it too.
Of course.
It's like, where's my legacy? I can't just be myself and sell real estate every day. I got to build a company to give to somebody. And so that's when I was like, okay, what are we going to build for our family? And this is kind of where the realization came, is like, I can't do it by myself. You're really good, at this. So
because in my title career, I did business development. Yeah. So like how I got business was I would meet with an agent and be like, here's how I'm going to help you grow your business. You're going to get so much business. You're going to send it to my title company, and then I get paid and everybody wins, right? And so I was already doing what I'm doing now. I was just doing it on such a like broad scale, but now I get to do it on such a micro level, and I have no red tape of the Texas Department of Insurance. I don't have to worry about anybody coming on me saying, did you pay for this? Did you do that? Whatever it is, because all of it. And so he was like, I need you to do it with me. And I was like, I was already checked out where I was at. I was like, man, I need to look for another opportunity. I'm just at my cap. And I was like, this is perfect if we're willing to take this risk. And so he was like, let's do it. And then while we were at then you were like, let's go to sell it. Let's see how we feel. And I really should go back to those notes just to kind of see where our head was at. And then while we were at sell it, I found out I was pregnant. And I was like, that was a sign. That was a sign that we needed. And then we came back to San Antonio, and I left my title company job. You filed the LLC. We started the name, and here we
thing
are.
is,
It just kind of happened
we had
so fast.
we had a pretty good group of agents that wanted to come with us from the beginning, and so my thing was time. Is okay, how quickly can I build this company in like less than 30 days to where every agent that comes on board feels like it's been around for 3 years. And so we did that in 30 days. LLC, logos, branding, office furniture. I mean, it was a lot for 30 days straight. And then when everybody came in, it was like, now you guys are all part of the beginning of this, and we're going to grow it to what it is now.
We're trauma bonded.
Yeah, we're trauma bonded. And so, yeah, to this day, it's people in our brokerage now, like some agents have done this from the beginning, they look back and they're like, wow, like that was built so fast, but so efficient. And there's nobody that could have done that better than her with me and partnered together. And so, yeah, it was a no-brainer.
And mind you, we did all that while I was pregnant.
Yeah, that's awesome. And moving.
Yeah, it was just like so many things at once. But honestly, like that's just the only mode that we have.
Yeah.
It's either like chill, everything all at once. Chill. Like that's just kind of our mode. And we always say that like when everything's too good, we're just waiting for something spicy to
It
pop
makes life
up.
fun,
But
too.
It does.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. And that's why it's like we're only coming up on 3 years in October, but it feels like 300 years because we've had so much life in Evoke in these past few years that it really does feel like it's been forever with some of these people. And it's been exciting. And I'm like, I can't wait for another 3 years and then 33 years. And then we build something huge and exciting. And, but yeah, we just had to keep up the momentum for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's only been 3 years
I know.
to think about that. And
It honestly feels like I have the information wrong, but it's not. It's October of 2022.
Well, I think because we were both in real estate for so long before that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've had 4 Christmas parties.
Yeah.
So that's why like my brain can't compute.
so because there's a lot of teams that want to potentially look at like boutique or like starting their own brokerage. What are the ups and downs and how they should think through whether they should or shouldn't do it?
I think we've noticed with teams, like they have to be a team that wants a little bit more, they have to be like a fully autonomous team. They have to function all together as one unit, and then we come in and they just plug into our resources, our tools and all that. That's where we've seen some of the best results is they're already fully functioning. They've got everything going. They've got everything set. And then they plug into us like a battery pack. And then we take them to the next level. Maybe it's the videos, it's the content, it's the broker support, it's the marketing support, all of that. We've never really brought on like a super brand new team because there's been times where we've tried and it just kind of falls apart because they don't have like their nucleus is just kind of not strong. And so at least that's my.
Yeah, it depends where they're at in their business.
Yeah. And I think they have to want to be able to plug in. They have to be like, hey, we're a traveling pack. We just want to plug into something else. Maybe it is a comp structure. Maybe they're like, hey, it's costing me too much money at other brokerages to have this team. You know, a lot of other brokerages, you have to pay like per head or you have to pay everybody else's cap first or whatever it is. Every brokerage is so different with how they function teams because I think brokers know that some people use teams as a way to bypass some of the fees and like be able to make more money under one person's name. And I mean, agents are creative. I have to get creative. And so now brokers are getting smarter about making sure that they're also making money on everybody on the team. And so I think it really just depends on what they're looking for.
It depends too. If the team's coming in, they're debating between a bigger brokerage or a boutique firm. Geographically, where they do most of their business depends on a lot of things. Because if they want a bigger firm, then they're probably doing business in other cities, maybe even other states.
Right.
If they're hyper local and their business is mainly just San Antonio surrounding areas, then maybe a boutique option is better for them because now they're a part of something that's a little more culture vibed and they're able to plug and play, like you said. And so it just depends on where they're at geographically and how autonomous their team's actually being running.
And what their goal is. You know, we had one team lead that was like, I want to create a team of like 20, 30 people. And I'm like, I don't know if that's going to fit our model. Like, I don't know if that makes sense. And then we kind of get the idea of like, okay, are they using us?
Right.
You know, are they using us as like a platform? And like, I get it. My dad used to always say like, make mistakes on someone else's dime, but not when you're that successful and you're that established. Now it just feels like, okay, we're getting a little taken advantage of. So it also just goes back to the overall questions. We're just asking, what are your goals for a team? We're a husband and wife team. Our son's going to join us and we're just looking to plug and play. Great. We might be a great fit for you. Then it's other people that are like, I'm a team lead and I have buyer's agents and listing agents and a military specialist and a reload specialist and I want to be on billboards. And it's like, I'm not sure that we're going to be, it sounds like you're going to cost us way more in resources and time and energy and money just to be able to use us and then leave eventually to either go be a broker or go do other things, which I'm always going to encourage people, go get your broker's license, go. I'm never going to tell everybody that like, you have to be with us forever. We don't want everybody forever. But I just also, I'm smart enough to know that like, our resources are so limited and we are still so small that it could take away from somebody else because you're filming 20 videos a day on random topics. So
what like risks did you guys learn that you didn't know going into building the brokerage? Because I'm sure there's ups and downs of being a broker. And
I mean, every day we learn something new.
I mean, massive risk obviously was financial risk. Like, you know, we didn't go out and get a giant loan. We didn't go out and get a bunch of credit cards. Everything was done on our dime. And so when you're the backbone of the company and your commissions matter that much for the scale of it, there's a lot of risk and pressure there. But I think that pressure also pushed us to make some incredible decisions and opportunities that we never would have done.
I mean, when we first started Evoke, David's commissions floated the brokerage for 6-8 months. And that's not to say that our agents weren't doing anything, but our agents were still grandfathered in. Like, they were with Evoke, but some of the deals that were closing were still grandfathered in at their previous brokerages. So we weren't getting paid on that. So they were actively working, but they were all still, their former brokerages were still getting paid. And so,
or how do you grow something so great,
right,
and not invest a lot of money into it? So starting out, you got to pay for subscriptions, websites, rent, furniture, you know, whatever it is. You're spending so much money up front, and so putting all of that for 6, 7, 8 months when the agents that are coming on board are like just getting the hang of it or still kind of getting deals flowing, that's a massive risk because you can fail in a year. Most companies do.
I mean, we started property management a division of property management out of necessity because David's like, well, we need some quick income to float this company. I remember we had a call with one of the property management softwares and they were like, do you have 50 doors yet? And we're like, no, we have 5. And they're like, you don't qualify for our software yet. So it's like, then now David became a property manager and he's like managing these doors and doing background checks and doing all these things. And so we had to have the heart to heart of like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Like, do we hire somebody to offset and to create leverage so we could eventually make more money? Or do we wait to hire somebody once we start making more money, but we can't start making more money until we create leverage? So it's like we were just kept going back and forth.
That's another risk too, is just leverage. At what point do you hire and spend that money to create more time for yourself to build something else? That was a risk we learned really quickly. It's like we should make this risk because it'll give us more time to do something else to better the company or better our family.
And I had to sit down with David saying like, what are your 3 things that are holding you up that are like your time suckers? And he was like, social media, admin, and in actual production. And he was like, I can't outsource production because I am my business. Like, I haven't gotten to a place yet. Like, if people want to work with me, it's because they want to work with me. I can't get to a place where I can like participate it out yet. So he was like, admin, I hate it, but there is a certain degree of just like broker admin stuff that he has to do, but there is a lot that he could send out. And then the social media part of it. And I was like, well, let's hire one person. So actually,
transaction coordinator.
And then I was about to say, the first person he did was transaction coordinator. So he hired a transaction coordinator that alleviated contract to close. Okay. Then we hired an admin, but then it came with the conversation of like, are they going to expect benefits? What are their hours? Do we even have an office for them to come to? What are they going to be doing?
How does payroll work?
How does payroll work? Or do we qualify for a payroll company? Yeah. Like, so like what payroll company do we use? You know, all the questions that you just learn, and it is just trial by fire. And, and I, you know, on the previous podcast, she was saying like you wear all of these hats. It's not just broker owner. He's in production. It's HR, payroll, legal, marketing, finance. Legal, having to go find our location. Now we're a tenant. Now we have to deal with TripleNet
being a friend,
right? And like, TI and all these things, and then on top of it, being there for pickup and drop off for our kids, and being a good friend and all those things. And so there are so many hats that we wear that we're just constantly interchanging every single day. But it was like, what next role can we hire to create leverage? And I mean, we've gone through 3 people before Lila in her role because we were like just trying to figure it out as we went. And we're like, okay, finally it's like Goldilocks. It's like, not this one, just right. And that's Lila. And so, because we had to figure it out, because at the time though, we hired for this role, but we didn't even know what the role entailed. We were like, should we ask them to do this? Do we reimburse them for gas? Like, this is their job? Like, it's just so many questions. And so biggest risk is obviously starting the brokerage out of our own money. Yeah. We've had multiple people, very generous, have said, hey, can we invest X amount of money? We'd like to be partners. We'd like to be co-owners. We'd like to just be an angel investor. And we have turned down all of them because that's just, we're grateful. It is an embarrassment of riches to be able to have these opportunities, but it's just not something we're interested in. We continue to run lean. We're a financially healthy company. We make sure all of our people get paid first. David, obviously is still in production. I don't take pay. David and I live off of his commissions, and that's just kind of like my my giving back to the bro. It's like pointless. We'll be fine off of his production, and everything else stays back at the company. That's how we can pay for guest speakers. That's how we can bring on another videographer. That's how we can ask Eric, do you need more equipment? Do you need more mics? We can get a bigger office. We can pay for furniture. All the things is because we invest back into the brokerage, not in like a bunch of outside, and we do fun Christmas parties and we have fun events, but we run very, very lean and healthy. And I credit that to him, not me. Because if it were up to me, we'd have disco balls and guest speakers and we'd all be traveling around the world. But
yeah, the reason I was curious, because in like market downturns like right now, brokerages struggle a lot because that's where like the transactions squeeze. And you have to look at like, okay, where can we cut back? Where can we invest? And you guys have background of like property management, like title. Like, how do you think through like, here's where we invest, here's where we add another revenue stream, or like, here's how we can innovate on the model with content. Like, what have been like good and bad investments that you guys made?
So this depends a lot on production, like obviously. So you look at the agent group you have and you say, okay, who's producing? How are they producing so well? What do they need? And you put it back on them. Is me spending money on something they don't need going to be the best outcome for the company and make more production? No. What do you guys need? And I think a lot of brokers forget that and go into the actual agent and asking them. And so we do that very often is we ask our top agents. We have a once a year meeting where we discuss the entire year that day. And we invite the top producer of that previous year and we sit down with him or her and say, okay, what does your business need the most? What do you think we should do for the agents? What should we invest in? And then they have a big decision in what we say or what we decide on. And so I think that's huge, is not just making decisions based on what you think the company needs, but looking at production and find out exactly what it actually needs. That to me is the biggest way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it just goes back to like, where can we create more leverage? If we have to, if we need this one role and this is how much we're going to pay them, can we cover that for the next 6 months, 8 months? If we go into some sort of like economic downturn again, can we cover those expenses? Can we make sure they are paid? We never want there to be a time where we're like, sorry, Lila, we can't pay you this month because X, Y, and Z agents haven't done any business. I will say in this current market, all of our agents since implementing Ninja are like busier than ever. And when everybody is struggling, we have agents that like can barely get their head above water because they have so much business, which we're just so grateful for. Yeah. But we do say, we're like, okay, well, what's one more person we can bring on? And we sat down with Lila and we're like, Lila, what about your job do you love? And what parts do you hate? Like, what do you find yourself putting off to the side? She's like, I love these areas. I really hate this part. Great. That'll eventually be who our next hire is. Part of Ninja, they say, as an agent, write down every single thing that you do, minute by minute, hour by hour, on an index card. And at the end of the day, make a list of all the things that you really like doing and all the things you don't like doing. All the things you don't like doing becomes the new job role of somebody you hire, whether that's an admin, whether that's a virtual assistant, whether that's a buyer's agent, a listing agent, and upload agents. There's people that are just hired to just like upload MLS, do the photos, coordinate all that stuff. Maybe it is a showing coordinator. I mean, there's so many unique roles that you can create in this business that creates leverage. So for us, it's what can we do that's going to kick us up a notch? Yes, of course, the feminine side of me would be like, I would love to get a bigger office and have a cool view of downtown and do I would love to bring in all these guest speakers and I would love to have this fun Christmas party and do all these cool things. And that's great for pictures and for content and for camaraderie. But like the minute they leave, it kind of falls off. What can we do to create leverage? Is it another hire? Is it another opportunity? Is it another partnership? Is it another software? Like, what is it that we can do? A partnership for marketing? What is it that we can do to create leverage that takes either something off their plate or gives them access to something they haven't had access to previously that then makes their business just skyrocket or grow or, make them more money.
It goes back to having a clear view of the production, the numbers, the system, the people in the right mindset to grow that. Because if you look at production and you're saying, hey, last year at this time we did X amount, is it smart to invest in something that we think will work, or is it smart to invest in something that we know will work?
Sure.
And so I think having everybody in the right mindset, because I forgot who said this, but the market locally it's not slow, it's selective. Mm-hmm. And if our core group of agents are actually working towards the right goal and have the right systems in place and we're giving the right resources, then we're not going to be slow. It's just going to pick us out because we're working that hard and we're consistent. So I think calculated risk, of course, but knowing exactly where the production goes.
Yeah.
And I also think like I'm thinking of events too. Like we're really selective on the events that David and I attend. You know, like we're really big on Inman because Inman, the amount of information that comes out of Inman will hold us over. It'll satiate us for a year because it's just such good quality information, and it comes from all different markets. I mean, you're getting Jonathan Spears, you know, Hamptons of the South and 30A. You're getting Glenda Baker. You're getting some of these big names that are on this stage, and they're talking on this global level, which it's really cool because, and we've always found out that we're the only ones from San Antonio that ever attend it. And we're like, okay, great. Like we have access to this. You know, in all like we really are particular with like the conferences that we attend because we're like, is this the highest and best use of our time? And then the trainings that I go to, like, I mean, when I went to Ninja Installation, I was there for 6 days away from my family, away from my kids. But I knew that like this was going to make us more money. And it really has been the gift that keeps on giving. And attending different trainings and coaching programs, we're selective with what is going to make me and everybody else money. By me attending Ninja Installation, by proxy, through osmosis, David, it's rubbed off on David. And David's like, I've done more in one day of business than in 3 years ago I would do in a year. Or, you know, and David did 5 million in one day of closings. He had 2 and 3 closings. And he's like, I just can't see a world of where that ever would have happened. Minus one day him ever having a $5 million listing. But like, it's just pretty wild when 5 million is what some people do in a whole year. Yeah. And he did that in one day. And so he's like, that I credit to Ninja. And that's like just through osmosis of my version. He didn't even actually attend it, but he's read the book and listened to the podcast. So it's stuff like that, where it's like just the gift that keeps on giving. And that's just where we're selective with, okay, well, where is it going to create leverage or create a financial opportunity?
Nice. Yeah. And I don't know if you guys really go to the source, like your customer, the agent, figure out the problem, then decide where to invest. And kind of goes to like, I don't know if you've read Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. It's just very like, look at your schedule. What can you get off of that? And then that's the job role. It's not like everything else that you want. It's like, what can you get off your schedule?
And those who win, the ones that are the problem solvers are the ones who win. You know, it's like Gary Vee, you lead with value 3 times and then ask for the business. Okay, step 1. Then number 2, what problems are you solving for your customers? And we ask our customers. David does a lot of client appreciation events, and it's like, what's important to you? Is it a client appreciation event? Is it gifts? Is it just, David's like, a lot of his clients just want to hang out with him or just grab dinner, which is hard to clone him to do that a million times. But so we're like, okay, his clients really love micro events. So we do these tiny little micro events where we can get all of his clients in a room and just really get to.
A lot of my clients are business owners too. And so they want to be in the same circle, the same network as other business owners. And so if I can get all my clients together, somebody somewhere is going to do a connection and make money somehow.
Well, and that was my thing is like, then we lead with value of putting them in that room and then problem solve. It's, hey, you said that you needed somebody for that. David's client actually does that. Y'all two should meet, or y'all two should collaborate, or y'all two need to do this or that, or y'all solve each other's problems. And now we're that connector, and that's kind of the role. And then that like is my PR hat back on of just being a connector and a relationship person. So that is really, I think, just something that we really prioritize that I feel like sets us probably apart.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like another thing that sets you guys apart is just the brand and the content. There's a few ways to like drive revenue in a brokerage. It's one, like retention and driving just top line revenue per agent. And then there's recruiting.
Right.
And in times like this, like how do you guys think through like passive versus active recruiting? Or like, do you focus on retention of the agent or getting them to produce more? Like,
it's a good question. So I think
both.
Both for sure. But I think in this market, it's the same, 10% of the agents doing most of the business. And so you know who the big whales are, who you want to go after. And I think for us, time is everything, especially in our lives. And so we want to be surrounded by those who are actually on the same mindset, same level, same production as we are. And you will get noticed by other people naturally. And so I think for us, a lot comes down to just time and actually going towards the right people.
Yeah, it's so like obviously we focus a lot on retention because that falls into the culture bucket. Yep. We're making sure that they're happy, they're satisfied. And we've gotten to a point where a lot of our agents will be like, guess who called me? So-and-so at this brokerage, or guess who sent me a recruiting box, whatever it is. And like to us, that's a compliment. That means that you're somebody worth noticing, worth recruiting. And so we've gotten to a point where our agents feel very comfortable because they know that we know they're not going anywhere. And we're really grateful and appreciative of the loyalty. But then of course we are, and And then also building up the agents that we have now, because we have poured so much into them, and the Ninja and all of that. And I'm like, well, if we have these agents right here, right now, that we can continue to pour into, we can make a $3 million agent, a 5, a 6, a 10, and then it just kind of keeps growing from there. I mean, we're not going to make a $3 million agent a 20 in 1 year, maybe, but we could get them to make these small little gross year over year. And so I will say that like that's one side of it. But then on the other side of it, yeah, it is still recruiting. I mean, we're still active. We're very strategic with who we bring on, because we are having to start all over and having to say, okay, here's the Ninja stuff. But we know that it takes the fresh energy, it takes the fresh perspective, because we know that all it takes is maybe one agent from a big brokerage to come over to our side and then be like, hey, I have a few more other people, or it catches other people's attention and catches other people's eye where they're like, oh, they look like they're doing really well, or they've been posting so many videos, I want to see what they're up to. And then it just kind of becomes a ripple effect for potential future recruiting.
Yeah, other revenues, like obviously we want to grow in Texas. And so we're at a point now to where we're such a strong group of agents that there's other bigger brokers now taking notice, and they're saying, hey, would you want us to come and invest in you or buy you out or do this and that? And so I think for us, like, we've built something so mission strong and so like just ready to go at any moment that our next revenue stream will be another city that takes notice, or, you know, Austin, Dallas, Texas, or whatever, just some surrounding areas that want to duplicate what we're doing here. We just franchise over there.
How are you thinking through like when to expand into that next market versus not?
Well, we're always thinking about it. We have Austin presence right now, of San Antonio Board of Realtors and Houston merged MLSs, so that's a great opportunity for us. David has a handful of listings in the Gulf Coast, and so that's opened opportunity as well. And then through the Ninja Selling Network, that's a really big referral network program. We're always thinking about expansion. Always, always, always. We will listen to anybody's proposition. We will hear anybody out. We always said the biggest pat on the back, the biggest compliment is somebody either wanting to offer money, franchise, duplicate in other markets. So we're always hearing people out. We're always listening. We're always weighing it out, you know.
And we know there'll be risks. Like how we started out, there was massive risk, and there's risks we make every day. But it's just a matter of like finding the right people you connect with that makes the biggest difference. Because if you don't feel a good vibe from that person, it's not going to be a good outcome.
And also the right risk. It's like failing forward. Like, let's just try it. Let's see if we can try it and it's not at the expense of like our name, our brokerage, our brand. The agents are going to suffer. Are we going to have to rebuild? Then absolutely. If it's an opportunity where everybody wins, absolutely. If it's financial opportunity, absolutely. So we're always every day we're thinking about how are we going to scale? How are we going to grow? What's our expansion look like? And we're always just finding ways, whether it's like slowly but surely with different agent partners, referral networks. You know, a dream for me would to be having all these fully autonomous teams in all these markets that they don't necessarily need to be in every Tuesday for Power Hour. They're already fully functioning. They just need to plug into our tools and our resources and have those in other markets. We would love that. We do know that that is a time constraint for us, because at some point we would need to be up in Houston or in Dallas or in all these markets. We would have to hire a videographer in all those markets or pay for travel. So it's like, we do realize that with that does come great responsibility. And so, but if the opportunity presents itself, we'll see it through, and we'll see if it's a great opportunity, and we'll figure out. I always say jump and build the parachute on the way down.
Yeah, it's a tough decision. And
it is.
It's a big decision. So you guys have seen a lot about how to build a brand from an agent perspective and then from like a leader or broker perspective. So want to talk about two sides, like what actually works for like building a brand, video content for agents.
You want that one?
Yeah, go for it.
So to me, what actually works is being relative to the topic. I think a lot of times agents skew off what's actually important to the buyer and the consumer. They'll do TikTok trends, things that aren't even necessary about real estate. But if you're giving a true value and actually connecting with the person, you're going to get the business. And I think that's a big part. Also just being genuine and caring and showing that and conveying that in video. Video is extremely important, but it's only important if you're actually being yourself. If you're being somebody else, you're not making the right content, people are going to see through that fakeness real quickly. If you're being yourself and you're able to be good on camera and actually give that true value, the buyer will connect and it'll share your video and you'll get more business out of it. But I think agent brand is important in the long run, just based on who you are and making sure it's well known the entire time. Don't try and veer off. Don't try and follow a trend. Just find something you love, stick to it, and just promote that and make that somehow about real estate, and you'll connect with those in that industry. So that's for an agent perspective. But
Right. Well, and I think that for content, it needs to be two things. It needs to be timely and it needs to be timeless. If it sits on your Instagram, somebody should be able to scroll back 2 years and be like, wow, that information is still either relative or it's timely or it still applies to me. So that's why it is hard when agents are sitting down with lenders being like, let's talk about the current market. Well, that lives on your Instagram and then people are gonna be like, wow, 2 years ago. And then, that sounded promising or it sounded like it was bad. Is it still bad now? It creates confusion. So it needs to be timely and relevant, but it also needs to be timeless to where it just sits on your social media and people say, wow. And that's why like doing house tours, that's fine because then it eventually sells and people can see that this is what you do and this is how you market. So being able to find that like fine balance, and I know it's such a like juxtaposition of being relevant and timely and it is. We just got through a big political year and having a big election, and so much of our market rested on, till this day, still like deals that are made and decisions that are being made affect so much of our business right now. I know every day we're kind of holding our breath on like what are interest rates, and so timely, relevant, but also timeless to where it can sit in perpetuity and it still be somewhat relevant to someone. And that's where the leading with value comes in. Leading with value, problem solving. Somebody could go back to David's video from 2 years ago and be like, wow, 4 years ago and be like, wow, that information still applies to me now. Or I resonate with that now. I'm going to reach out to him. So it's finding that delicate balance.
The only way to build a true agent brand is to be consistent with it the entire time. If you're doing it for a month or 2 months and you just stop and take a little break and then you kind of hop back into it a few months later, you lost sight of the brand. You got to really do it a lot to get known and build that brand. And mix it in with who you really are, your family, your kids, if you like going to soccer games, whatever it is, just find something that's truly you and do it for a long time, and people will eventually identify you with that.
And that's a learning curve we learned, because at one point, 2 years ago, I made videos mandatory for everybody. And like I scheduled them to come in and film batch 5 videos. And so we had agents that had never even stepped foot in our office, came in, filmed 5 videos. And then number one, they posted 1 and never posted the other 4. And then we're like, what was the point of that? I'm not going to stop forcing these agents to do these videos. You can lead a horse to water, but it can't make them drink. So like I forced them to do these videos. They were uncomfortable. The topics weren't organic. They just like went and just talked about generic topics, what to expect at the closing table. It's like, yeah, that's good information, but you could also get that information off a website. And then they posted 1 or 2 and then it just fell off. And so again, it goes to the consistency. So that's why I stopped forcing and making the videos mandatory. I get it. If that's just not something you're comfortable with, maybe that's not how you get business. There's some agents in the San Antonio marketplace that are absolutely crushing it with 0 Instagram presence, 0 Facebook, not even a Google like page. Like nothing. That's fine. If that's how you get your business, then go for it. There's no need to force it. But again, it goes back to the consistency.
They probably have a really good system.
Sure.
Like an amazing follow-up system, events, whatever it is.
Yeah,
they have
damn good at their job,
They have
obviously.
something that brands them that way than it is through content.
Yeah.
Right. So just don't force it, but you have to be consistent. That was the first thing we all talked about when we got here, is just like the consistency.
Really quickly, before we get back into the episode, did you know that email beats the ROI of social media 40-1? If you want to turn your email list into more listing appointments, then you need to check out Ella. Ella is the only email marketing agency for real estate agents. We help you build a hyperlocal email newsletter. We also send conversation starter emails, and we do way more. So you can turn your email into a profitable marketing channel this year. Click the link below, check it out. Hope to see you in there. Let's get back to the episode.
Yeah, consistency is big.
It's key.
Like you kind of mentioned, a lot of agents want to lean into like their real estate topics, but it's like only 7% of a market's moving in one time. So like talking about how to buy a home, what happens under contract, that's like one side of the extreme.
Yeah.
The other side is like we talked about earlier, like the business owners, like the local, like where's the middle ground of like, is it talking about like San Antonio locally, like home tours? Like what's the middle ground of like, okay, this is actually good content that the consumers will care about.
We've had some agents right now that are like, we tell them like, own your neighborhood, own your town. So we have some agents right now that are like going to surrounding areas and just hyper focusing on that neighborhood or that area, or breweries or wineries, or, we've had a lot of recent developments. And so one of our agents went and focused on this brand new grocery store development and talking about like all of the areas around it and how it's growing and how it's booming, and then tying it back into now's a good opportunity to buy in this area.
You gotta tie it back in somehow.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, we had another agent that partnered with a local eye company, and they were talking, and then I found a way to segue to make it the common denominator of like why it's so important to work with somebody that's an expert in their field. Just like she found this doctor that was an expert in his field, she is an expert in her field, and why it's important to partner with local community partners and businesses that are all experts. And she kind of touted herself as the community expert for real estate while giving him a shout out. But then now they merged on social media, they collaborated, and now they're getting each other's viewers. So it's like, nice. And then she had a doctor's office reach out to her saying, we'd love for you to come do the same video. So now she's like this micro influencer as a realtor. And so hyper focusing on certain areas or niches or markets. San Antonio is a melting pot. It's a confluence of cultures. So there's no shortage of opportunity or topics or areas to focus on, which is so cool. We have some areas that agents that downtown is their jam. Some of them, it's like heading up north, east, southwest, you name it. Find your niche, find your area, be your mayor of your area, of your neighborhood, and just really hone in on it. And that's what I feel like they've found great success with.
But to answer your question, which one's the right one? I think to me, you have to be able to do everything. You got to have a little bit of everything sprinkled in with some family or whatever you like. But if you don't have all your bases covered, you're kind of just going down one silo. And I think it's extremely important, especially with video, that you can come to a videographer with an idea and just shoot a basic video and they get no traction, no likes, no views. If you find a videographer that actually understands what you need to do and a message to do it, they'll give you a creative direction to make an actual solid video that will get you views, likes, and traction. If you waste your time making videos that aren't engaging or have no creativity, you're not going to have any outcome. And so I think it's extremely important to partner with a videographer or an editor that can get that message across clearly, because that'll make and break a lot of things. And be okay with not getting likes, views, and comments. I think that to me is, I'll have an amazing video I'll post, and me and Eric are like, this is going to take off, it's going to be viral, and it gets like 2 likes. And we're like, okay, that didn't work. And be okay with that and just keep going, because that's the nature of the business. You got to keep going.
But it's also going back to the storyboard. What's the call to action? Ask a question in your caption. Ask a question in the comments. Engage with the people in your comments instead of just hearting it or saying thanks. It's what was your favorite part of that video, or which was your favorite restaurant, or what would, if you had to ask the doctor 3 questions, what would they be like? Have a call to action. But that comes back to partnering with the right people. Yep. Only a videographer would know that. Only people that have content, creation backgrounds or social media backgrounds or marketing backgrounds. Like, that's why it is so important that it can't just be anybody that picks up a camera and goes into iMovie and GarageBand and then edits your video. And like,
Eric will tell me no a lot. Like, I'll just say, hi, I got this idea. He goes, nah, it's not good. Okay, well, what's your idea? So you need somebody to go back and forth on, because
these professional partnerships. Yeah, so that's why I think it's really important. And like David said, like, he's had videos that'll just tank, and he's like, I'm taking it down, and then I'll repost it in 2 hours. Or, I was listening to a podcast with this very famous influencer, and she said that the way she got so popular on TikTok was she would post a video, and if it got 0 hits, she would take it down and re-edit it or change the caption until it landed. Then she started to realize, but it was the same exact video, just chopped up a different way, just a different cover photo, just a different, maybe it was a rage bait caption, maybe it was whatever it was, but she was like, it was the same exact content, the same exact video. But if it didn't hit or it didn't land, I would change the caption, I would change the cover photo, I would change the hashtags, whatever it was, until it landed. And then from there, you start to really get the vibe and the feel of your audience of what captures their attention.
The other beauty too is if you're consistent with it for so long, for so many years, your videographer can come back and say, okay, look what we did 3 years ago. Let's pull footage from that. And now you have 3, 4, 5, in my case, 8 years of footage. I can go out for 2 months and not do a single video, and Eric can make something for 2 months because he has so much content to use.
And Lila too. I mean, she's like, hey, I just created this video based off of this trending sound. Yeah. And we're like, that's a really cool video. And we'll tell her like, hey, lean in heavy on coaching, lean in heavy on recruiting, lean heavy on our events, lean heavy on luxury. We'll give her like the topic, and she has so much footage and so much B-roll that she can create content for David and I could fall off the face of the earth for 2 years and nobody would, well, maybe not 2 years, 2 months, 2 weeks. And,
nor do we want to.
And she would have, her and Eric would have enough content to be able to to fulfill for a while without people realizing it, because we do film a lot.
Yeah, and you said a lot of good stuff there, but you also touched on kind of like the next one, like from a broker's perspective. It seems like you have a few lenses that you look through, like luxury, recruiting, coaching. Like, what are the content buckets or like pillars that you guys try to create content around now?
You wanna go?
I mean, I think for sure, like overall, the brand needs to stay like professional,
Right.
luxury, true to the brand. So that's always the common thread, right?
Yep.
Then underneath that, it kind of just depends on what's going on. It kind of just depends on our response to the market. It depends on what we have going on internally, you know? So we'll say, hey, Eric, Lila, post really heavy on luxury right now. Post really heavy on Alanna's coaching. Post really heavy on, we want something that shows camaraderie and culture without it actually saying like, we're recruiting, you know, lean into that. So we do have different buckets of showcase coaching, showcase leadership, showcase development, showcase camaraderie, showcase book club, showcase all of our reviews on social media. We have really great reviews, something we pride ourselves on. So like, and then we'll say, hey, highlight these 3 agents. They were the top producers of this quarter. And so it really, those all, you know, for the most part, those are just kind of like our core buckets. And then we'll slide in some ancillary ones just based off of whatever, you know, response to the market, response to what's going on at the time, or
It's also important to have the consumer in mind too. Like, no matter if a buyer or seller looked at our Instagram page for Evoke or Facebook, and they were able to follow along professionally and understand who we were as a brokerage, would they want to work with one of our agents? And that's important for us as owners to make sure that brand is conveyed in a professional way. Because if a buyer or seller goes on our Instagram and they see something they don't like and they don't want to work with anybody, then we did a bad job. We got to make sure our brand's always professional no matter what.
Yeah, that's really good. So if people want to follow and kind of see what content you guys put out, what you're up to, where should they go?
www.realtyevoke.com is our website,
Yeah.
but that's not very fun.
Yeah.
You can follow our Instagram.
Yeah, we're big on Instagram. I love Instagram. It's been the main lead generation for me, and so we're at Evoke Realty on Instagram.
At Realty Evoke.
At Realty Evoke, yeah.
And then our TikTok is Evoke Realty.
Yeah.
You can see, and then David and I are both on there. You can't miss us on Instagram. And so that's just where people can follow along. I mean, we always have behind the scenes. We always have something going on. And then also, you know, we're very timely. A lot of stuff happened in our Texas Hill Country a few weeks ago, and we told Lila, like, pump the brakes on all listings, videos, anything. And for the next week, just post ways to give back, donation shelters, donation stations, ways that you can donate, items to donate, just showcase any sort of businesses, tag them, share them about ways that people can give back. And so, like I said, that's just in response to like what's going on in our community. We're always trying to showcase and spotlight community partners, community people in our community, businesses, and we're just, I mean, I feel like it's a great resource for people to follow too, just for all things San Antonio.
Nice. So a few like quick rapid fire questions. If we took like all of your lead generation, your marketing, and you made like a pizza or a pie, what's the percentage breakdown between different sources roughly? Obviously, it's might not get it 100%.
For buyers and sellers or for agents?
Buyers and sellers.
So for me, it would be probably 50% Instagram. And then 25% would be events and just going out and networking and shaking hands with people. And the other 25 is probably referrals.
Nice. And I guess agents too?
For the agents, I mean, I would say it's hard to say because we have a handful of agents that really lean into the videos and the marketing, which is like their Instagram and their social. So some of them might say it's 50-50, 50% video creation, media, content, all of that. And then the other 50 is just the referrals. But the referrals come from seeing all of the, you know what I mean?
Everything's tied back into content somehow and brand.
At least for a majority of our agents. You know, like I said, there are some that like have just completely been able to hack the system and do it completely behind the scenes, and they're just 100% referral lead source without having to post ever a video. But I would say, I mean, that was pretty accurate for you. And I would say that our agents might just chalk it up to 50-50. 50% is all of their social media, which gets them new business or returning business, which turns into the other half, which is the referrals.
I think it's also important to say that the entire pie would not exist if it wasn't for following up and having system and having discipline and having motivation and having people behind us and having her next to me. I think that whole pie wouldn't be there without all that. And so, yeah.
Did that answer your question?
Answer the question. Is there like a book or a podcast that you just constantly recommend?
That's all. That's my. That's my. I always joke around that I'm like I was doing research and it was like TikTok. So I'm really big on always like if there's something ever going on at the brokerage, I'll find a book for it. So like Dare to Lead by Brene Brown and like learning how to wrestle with vulnerability. And it's okay to let our agents know like, hey, this market sucks right now. We're in the trenches with you. However, we are confident in the direction it's going. We're confident in all of your abilities. We're confident in all of our tools. So like, I love Brene Brown. Obviously we follow like Layla and Alex Hormozy. I love Dave Meltzer, the playbook. I'm obsessed. Ed Milet, of course, I'll listen to anything he puts out. David and I went to the Grant Cardone, the 10X conference, and he had some incredible people on stage, regardless of your political views. I mean, Eric Trump had some really great nuggets. Charlie Kirk had incredible nuggets, just about like leadership and showing up and swallowing the frog and doing those hard things. I love Simon Sinek, Start With Why, Leaders Eat Last, all of it. Like we've had really great, David and I built our relationship on John Maxwell Book Club. Yeah. When he was working at the magazine, I was at another company, and we both did the John Maxwell Book Club with his former boss. And so the 10 Invaluable Laws of Leadership or growth. So I'm really big on always listening to podcasts, reading books, whatever I can do to further strengthen my skill set, sharpen my skill set, become the best leader and the best version. I'm always going to. I don't need to because
she does it all for me. So I just
Mel Robbins. Mel Robbins said something that just stuck with me, and she was like, "Leaders bring the weather." So it's like we could be down in the trenches. We could, and the best advice we ever got was like just stay in the ring, create an environment where you cannot tap out. And so there was a time where it just felt like every time we got up, we just kept getting hit. And I'm like, we have to just keep getting back up. We have to just stay in the ring, and eventually we'll come out on the other side. And it's kind of like you had talked about with your previous, where it was like that messy middle. Yep. And it's like we were in that messy middle for a while, but we stayed in the ring. We didn't tap out, and we had to bring the weather. So
stay true to ourselves. Had our system, had our own family process.
Right.
I mean, it matters.
We brought the weather, and I was like, I want to make sure that it was sunshine and rainbows for everybody, but we also wrestled with vulnerability as well. And we let them know, hey, right now you are feeling a shift, and you are feeling the messy middle, and you're all part of it. However, we're confident in the systems, the tools, everything we have in place, the people we have surrounded, the team we've built, that we're going to be able to all, come out after this. But that's the name of the game in this business. Everybody lives in the messy middle because it's the market. Everything is just so wild. And so being able to just kind of like wrestle with that, but stay in the ring and just kind of putting all those ideas together is kind of what's built us.
Nice. And what's been like one bad investment and then one good investment?
Oh, we can't say the bad investment because they might listen. We've had some bad hires. Yeah. We've had some bad hires, and not necessarily in the role, but the person and maybe the way that we led them, and maybe the way that we gave some direction, and we focused on the wrong skill set in the wrong areas. I think some other, but everything was a lesson learned. Yeah. So I don't ever actually look at it as like a failure, but we look at it as like never doing that again. Right. Offering some agents certain perks, then, and it's like, well, why? Now everybody has to have that same perk, or I don't know. I think sometimes trying to do like a blowout Christmas party was not like the highest and best use. Like it was super fun and super cool, but like now we just kept setting our bar even higher and higher and higher. So, but everything's a lesson learned. I would do it all over again. I would make every single one of those mistakes all over again because none of them actually took us down. Right. We learned from them, and now it kind of like it just continued to mold and shape who and how we run our business and who we are. And so, if you don't see everything as a learning opportunity, then you're just like a one-track mind, and that's definitely us. We can definitely swallow the frog and definitely take an L when we need to because we see it as a learning opportunity. And I'm glad.
Good investment, obviously, is investing in yourself all the time, invest in your family, invest in each other. I think that's the best investment we ever had is being there for each other and, investing in things that make us happy every day.
Yeah, therapy.
And therapy. And cold plunges.
That's great.
And cold plunges, yeah.
Those are all great too.
Yeah.
So when you think of like your kids and what you want to like get across to them, if you had to tell them like why you're doing what you're doing, what would you say?
I'm too emotional
You
for
get
this.
choked up.
No, because we're about to send our oldest daughter off to kindergarten. So it's like, obviously now she's getting in that age where she's understanding. We just knew from day one, I never wanted to hide that. I think it's so different because we still live in such these like gender normative lifestyle where it's like daddies get to go to work, but mommies are supposed to act like they don't go to work. So I never wanted to hide the fact that I go to work and that mommy and daddy work together. You know, when she was younger, she used to say daddy's office. I'm like, no, mommy and daddy's office. And there's times in the car where I'm like, what do mommy and daddy do? And she's like, daddy helps people buy houses. And I'm like, and what does mommy do? And for a while, when she was younger, I don't think she could understand the idea of like, what is a coach? What is a leader? What is a mentor? And now she's older and she's like, mommy helps people sell houses, or mommy helps the agents sell houses, or helps the people there. So it's like slowly trying to introduce our roles. I really want her to see a really positive example of a husband and wife dynamic. You know, I want her to see a healthy relationship. You know, something that's important to me is our kids know. I never shy away saying like, Stella, I'm dropping you off at school, but because mommy and daddy have to go to work. We actually have to go to, you know, all your stuff, vacation costs money and school costs money. Our youngest is too young to comprehend. She doesn't know what we're up to all day. But I want her to know that like, wow, my mommy and daddy somehow built this huge brand and this huge name and this huge legacy, but all at the same time, like they never missed a pickup and a drop off. And they were always there with us. And we did dinner together and we had so much fun. And my mom was there volunteering at school for Thanksgiving and for Valentine's Day. Like I want her to know like how I want her to think, at least from my role as a mom, like how did she do it? She did it all. In my eyes, she did it all. And so that's important to me because I do think it is very normal knowing that your dads go to work, you know, and your moms are supposed to be at home and doing all these things. And I want her to know that like, no, my mommy went to work, but was still there picking me up every day and had a sorpresa in the car. Every day she wants a surprise. And it's like, I want her to be like, wow, how did my mom had the same 24 hours in the day as everybody else and somehow she did it all. And I want her to know that it's okay to follow your dreams and your passion and your pursuits, especially if it's in a male dominated world. You know, I ask Stella every day, what do you want to be when you grow up? And some days it's a doctor and some days it's a trash man. And other days she goes, I want to work for Evoke. And we're like, great, do it. You need like, go, whatever you want to do. You know, David and I are trying to build something where when she graduates high school, regardless if she wants to go to college or not, she's got something that she can come intern at. She can take over if she wants to take over it, if not, or we have the finances to be able to say, hey, you know what? We want to fund your dream and your passions, whatever that looks like. You want to start a business, you have an invention, you have an idea. We're able to do that for you. So we're trying to create this legacy, obviously, to pass down to our kids, something for them to be proud of, something for us to kind of break generational cycles and create a new generation for us. And that's, I think, something that's important to us. And I'm sure yours is similar but different.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's this industry never stops. I'm always on my phone. I'm always answering clients' calls, agents' calls. And so for me, my biggest thing is I want her to know that when daddy's at home, he's at home. Or when daddy's traveling, he's here. He's present. He's not just, you know, halfway in, halfway out. And so I've made a real effort the past 3 or 4 years is trying to do that and being there more for my kids and for her. And when I get home, it's just no phones. It's us. Now, there are times where I have to. But I think she sees for the most part that we're always present no matter what. And
we've integrated her into our business. Like during the summer, we know that she's about to start kindergarten. She's about to start real school. So during the summer, like, you know, once 2-3 times a month, we would bring her to our office. And she, you know, one day we would wake her up, we'd surprise her and be like, you're not going to school today, you're coming to the office. And then we joked around and we started calling it her internship. And she just got to learn. Like I wanted her to feel ownership in that business versus like her feeling like this negative resentment towards work, the office, this company of, you know, my mommy and daddy are always at the office and never at home. It's like, no, I wanted her to feel ownership. She runs around, her and Lila will play. She'll get on the whiteboard. She eats snacks. She takes her shoes off. She gets comfortable, but she sees us in action and she sees us working and she sees us moving the needle, you know, regardless if she processes that now or not, she understands that we're doing something that we're passionate about. And it's also given us an opportunity to talk about like things cost money. You know, it's really easy to be able to be like, okay, you want a doll? Fine, we'll just buy it. You know, it's different than how we grew up. And so it's really easy to get caught up in that. And I do not want to raise entitled children just because now we have the means to be able to provide stuff and not have to say no. And we get to take them on trips and do all these cool things. But I wanted to understand the value of $1 of like, all right, Stella, well, if you need these new rain boots for school, I have to go to work to now pay for them. So I want her to understand that like work equals money. Yep. Then later down the line, she can understand about like leverage and cost of goods and all the things and, you know, all the things. And so I want her to just understand that like, okay, well, if I want these things, then that requires my mommy and daddy to, go to work. But we're very good about, I mean, I try to pick them up by like 4:00. That's when I said, okay, we have until school pickup. Like we try to, and then take her out to dinner and do certain things for now as she's getting older and starting to comprehend and have more adult conversations with her. And then our littlest one, eventually we'll have to repeat that cycle once she gets older to comprehend. But right now she doesn't even really speak English. So
Yeah.
Those are great. So if you're kind of on last day, like Evoke is gone, you have nothing there, and you can only leave like one message to your kids about what leadership is, what would that be?
Caring, being there for each other. Like no matter what, it's being empathetic to other people and understanding emotion. I think that leadership is just understanding people and, leaning more towards helping somebody else. Very rarely does it come down to the actual money. It comes down to happiness and being there for somebody.
My gosh, it's like we're the same wavelength. I was going to say vulnerability. I think it's super important. Like David said, the money is a byproduct of doing what you love and being passionate about it. Like they say, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. I think leadership is about just being vulnerable. And like I said, like, hey, I'm in the trenches with you, or hey, this market right now is kind of confusing, or hey, it sucks, but it's just being vulnerable and saying, hey, I know what it's like to have a few months go by and not have any sales. I know what it's like to feel like you're just getting no after no after no. I know what rejection feels like, but then also providing them. So being vulnerable, but then providing them with like that positive outlook of like, I've been there, I've done that, I got the t-shirt, and I promise it's way better on the other side. I promise this is only going to make you better. I promise this is only going to, adversity builds character. It's only going to, you want to achieve as many no's as you can. It's like I saw on TikTok, this one girl was like, I'm on a pursuit of getting as many no's. I'm on a pursuit of rejection, and what it taught me. The pursuit of rejection and what it taught me, it taught her to just like, life, like the world is your oyster, like just go after it. And she was like, when I actually actively looked for rejection instead of a yes or acceptance, she's like, my whole world changed. She's like, I just went and tried to get rejected. I applied for jobs I was not qualified for. I applied for loans. I applied for everything. And she was like, I ended up actually, and then, in regards to the job, she got these big, huge job opportunities. Like you would never, so often than not, I think we're so scared of rejection and not fitting in. And we all just want to find our place and we have imposter syndrome and all these things. But I think if you let your team know and the people around you and like you're just vulnerable and you're raw and you're real, there's so much more connection to be made and so much more connection had in those raw and real moments than just trying to act like everything is perfect and you're perfect and you've never done anything wrong and life is great. It's not. I mean, there's many a sleepless nights, whether it's sleepless from work, we're thinking about payroll, we're thinking about this, or it's sleepless because we have 2 young kids at home and one kid's sick and has an ear infection. So I think if you just learn to just be vulnerable, I think that would be my one word, my takeaway.